Welcome to Made for Mondays, the source for digging a little deeper into the Believers Church Sunday messages and finding ways to apply them to our daily lives. Together, let's take a deeper look and find a way to bring Mondays back to life.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, welcome to the Made for Mondays podcast. My name is Sam. This is a Super Bowl edition of Made for Mondays. I am your armchair quarterback, QB1 if you will. Oh, okay. And who is joining me today on this beautiful morning?
Samuel. Hey there, it's me, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
And Lauren.
Lauren, so good to have you on the pod.
What a great day to be on the pod.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very strategic having you here.
I think it was.
Yes. And it's all in the shirt.
Oh, yeah, the shirt.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why you're here.
That's not what she was thinking.
I know that's not what she was thinking.
Maybe two reasons.
Okay, maybe two.
Lauren, it's been a few episodes since you've been on.
Yeah.
So we were very excited to have you join us today.
Thank you.
There's a lot to talk about from our weekends. We all have one shared weekend experience.
Yes.
That's Sunday, of course, but also the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We'll talk about that a little bit.
But if you hate football, you still should stay tuned in.
Oh, I see.
You should.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's going to be...
It's not just all football.
No, because
never.
who cares about football?
No.
I didn't care about the two teams, but...
Correct.
Anyway.
There's a lot more content.
A lot
than
more
just
going
that.
on.
You're not going to miss out anything.
Right.
Don't
and
skip.
one
Don't
of those
skip.
things that isn't football would be around our next gen ministry.
Yes.
So you guys let's just jump into that a little bit because I think it's super important and I don't want people to miss that.
No.
And I think most people listen to the first 5 minutes of this and then...
I think you're probably right. And so leading in with the most important thing is probably a good idea.
So Jesus, and also what is Jesus doing in Next Gen right now?
Yes. So Next Gen had a really exciting couple weekends. We rebranded. So I don't know if you guys saw these cool
Very
shirts
cool.
hanging out in the Commons and the auditorium. But we, used to historically have Believers Kids on Sunday, For Real on Wednesday nights. But Jesus just kind of was stirring our hearts to become more of a family ministry instead of becoming like segmented days of the week. So we are now Next Gen Families, and we serve our kids on Sunday at Next Gen Kids, and then we serve our students on Wednesdays, now known as Next Gen Students.
Yes.
So it just kind of unifies the family a little bit for everyone to know that, you might be in two different phases, but it's the same ministry, and we want that unity in our umbrella. So, we're really excited. It's been great.
Yeah, I love that we've been functioning that way for a good little while now. And so the rebranding reflects how we've been functioning. But, I talk to other churches frequently, and when I talk about how we do Next Gen, they're very intrigued. I think there's something really good about what we're doing.
Yeah, I think I would like to say something about that because I still have to talk about this a lot just because it's so weird and different. Even when we're talking to other churches, Doug and I are like the weirdos. We don't really have like a place
for sure, Doug.
that belongs for what we do. So Doug doesn't just do students on
he's not a student pastor.
Wednesday. He's not a student pastor.
Yes.
He does all large group for Next Gen. So he does preschool, kids, and students. He does all of the worship. He oversees that, all of the large group teaching, all of the games. That is like
he doesn't sing though. I
no,
just want to make sure
no.
people know that.
No.
He would love to, though.
He would.
But it would have to be a Weezer song.
He would
That's the
sing.
only song he sings.
Let's be clear about that. It's not singing.
No.
But that's his strength because he's an amazing teacher. And he just does a great job with that.
Yep.
And then what I do is the small group side. So preschool, elementary, and students, all of the small group curriculum, all the small group leaders, the teachers, all of the things that happen in the smaller setting is kind of what I do. So it's we aren't. I'm not a kids director. Doug isn't a student pastor. Like we just do all of the things.
Yeah.
And it works
I
really
think it's
great
awesome.
to our strengths.
And we're practicing even like staff because a lot of us have said For Real for many years.
I still
so just changing it up and I mean, there'll be some grumpies, but it's all good.
It's okay. I really haven't had any.
Good.
Even the teenagers were just kind of like, oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
cool. We're on board with that.
But I just think it's a very, it's a very good label. Next gen students. I think you guys have done such a great job with that. So, and the only way you can get that T-shirt is if you serve in next gen, correct? Yep, that's the serving T-shirt.
This is the exclusive volunteer shirt.
Yes.
But there is other next gen merch in the shop.
Yep,
so.
on the shop. And if you're confused where to find the shop, Jeremy's done an amazing job on that. You can find it off of our website, top right corner. Or on Sundays, you can kind of swing by and see some of the gear that we have.
Scan a QR code and go right there.
Yeah, most days I come into work, I just steal one of the items that's on the shelf and just wear it for the day, just to feel how it is. It's nice.
Feel it out.
Yeah,
break it in.
Yeah, so that's great. So you guys have started that this past week.
But we don't sell the stuff that's
no, you
rack.
can't buy that stuff.
Right.
It's shipped to you. We have a really good process now.
So the hat that you wear that you steal off the rack is not a hat that someone else is
true.
Nobody's going to wear that. Nobody's going to buy that one specifically. This one, it's just going to be.
Jeremy said last week that you have to buy the hat.
I did buy one. It's being shipped. I'm just waiting for it to get to my house.
All right, just wanted to be clear.
I'm just trading.
Put it on the
one.
record.
And if Jeremy's really going to hold me to it, I'll switch it out and just take this one. And my new one that I ordered, I'll just hang it up there.
All right.
But yeah, so that's where we're at with the shop. It's really great. So what did you guys do anything else? We'll get into some of the football talk just for a little bit after this. But what about the weekend, Friday, Saturday? Did you guys do anything fun?
So we tried a new restaurant.
Okay.
So that we haven't tried a new one in a while. So that was kind of fun. We went to 411, which is downtown Norfolk area. It's next to what used to be Voila, which was one of our favorite restaurants, but it closed.
It's like right off the whatever road that is.
Yes, right off of
Very good description.
Right off of Brambleton.
Yes.
Yes.
The main road.
Down by the YMCA is where it is. And it's a inn and restaurant. So they have like a bed and breakfast kind of place. But yeah, very, very good meal. We were given a gift certificate from our daughter. She lives right around the corner from there. And it was our last hoorah before Lent starts.
Yeah.
So, so
Which you talked about yesterday a little bit. You know,
did.
you're just getting all your sinning out there.
Get all my sinning in. Yep. So had some fried chicken.
Nice.
I mean, that's sinful.
Yeah.
So it was really good. It was a great restaurant, good atmosphere. It was fun.
Because as a side note, Lent starts on Wednesday, on Wednesday.
Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow's Fat Tuesday?
Tomorrow is Fat Tuesday, yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because Easter's really early this year. End of March.
Yeah, I mean,
last
it's
Sunday, March.
barely out of January, and we're already into
Man.
Lent. Crazy.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's fun. New restaurant. Lauren, did you guys do anything Friday, Saturday?
Kind of. So Caleb and I have been doing alphabet dates.
Yeah.
It's taken us like a year and a half to do it, but
Oh,
it's
are
fun.
you still alphabeting?
We're still doing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
have the
know
letter
that.
P.
Okay.
And this is kind of like our Valentine's date / we like to combine. Just makes it easier.
Yeah.
So we did an at-home date, which just are my favorite. This is my turn to plan. So we made
Was that the P plan?
No,
Nice.
it was, we got new pajama sets. So like actual
Okay,
like
that's awesome.
button up, like pajamas.
Yeah.
We braved Walmart for that. It was fun. And then we made homemade pizza.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, do
Yes.
pizza.
And we don't we're not a homemade pizza family. So it was like, I know a lot of families are like, that's a normal.
Yeah.
No, that's not us. So that was fun to do.
Super fun.
I almost had a meltdown because I burnt all of my toppings got totally burnt. So I
tricky.
about ruined the night. But Caleb to the rescue. He's like, Lauren, we
thank
can
goodness.
scrape it off.
Wow.
And we can put it back in and just broil it. And we did that. And it turned out amazing.
Way to go, Caleb.
Yeah,
Yes.
good
And then
save.
we made
I just would have ordered Rita's.
I was like, when I'm hangry, I have a very short window, and then it's a meltdown.
understand. Yeah.
So, anyways, save the day, and then we did the popcorn, the actual not microwave popcorn, but popcorn.
Yeah.
And then watched a movie, and I was trying to remember what it was called on the way here because I know I was
Popeye?
gonna. No, it was
Pirates of the
some
Caribbean?
silly. It was really silly. It was goofy. It was something about Foggy Mountain. Please don't treasure. It's about 3 goofy friends who grow up. I fell asleep halfway through also, and they go treasure hunting. It was really silly. Wouldn't recommend. But anyways, we wanted to find a movie that we
Yeah.
hadn't watched that started with the letter P.
Very nice.
Pitch Perfect we almost did it again, but we've seen
Yeah.
it 5,000 times. So we were trying to branch out a little bit. Oh, and we have like a little projector room that we don't, like Caleb uses to play video games, but we like set it up, like did like a fort type of situation. And
Nice.
yeah, so it was
That
really
was
fun.
very fun.
Yeah.
That's
our
one of the
home
re-engage
date.
nights is you do a
Yeah.
and home date night.
Yep.
So,
That's
very
what it
cool.
was. So we had fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was only really exciting thing.
Yeah, we had
did.
great weather this weekend. A little rainy, but
Yeah, quite rainy.
my allergies are all over the place because of how it's changing. But a little update on the Red Raiders.
Yeah.
Basketball,
Yeah.
YMCA basketball team.
Yep.
We played really, really well this week. The other team had a couple really good kids on it. We were winning at halftime.
Wow.
Yeah, we were up 1 point.
Wow.
But again, we only had 6 kids for a while, and then another one showed up, so we had 7. But they're sucking wind. Again, I don't understand. All these other teams have like 15 kids on it, and I got 8 or 7.
And you can't negotiate a trade.
Oh, I've tried.
Man.
The front office is just not having it.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, they played well. We ended up losing at the end because one of the really good kids on the other squad got a couple quick baskets, but played really tough. So I think we're getting close to a victory.
How long is
As
the
long
season?
as the other team's not that good.
Yeah. How long is the season?
I think the first week of March it ends.
Okay.
So a couple more weeks.
Man, you gotta turn up the heat.
Yeah, the game we forfeited, we got there early. We had a forfeit last Sunday because we didn't have enough players. Shocker. And we show up to the team we were supposed to play, and let's just say it's probably a good thing we forfeited. It would have worked out that way anyways.
Yeah.
They scored a lot of points. So so that was our Friday, Saturday. Sunday, great day. We're going to talk about your message, Jamie, talk about some of the questions that have been brought up, but also last night, I got to say, it was probably a top 5 Super Bowl that I've watched. Even though it was boring at the beginning, but football-wise, it had everything you wanted.
It really did. I thought it was a great game. Even the first half. I mean, it was low scoring and whatever. It was still a good game.
But you could tell, I mean, they were playing, both teams were playing really well, the defenses,
Yep.
and you can't, we don't need 100 points scored, okay?
Agreed.
This is old school football.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great game. And I even stayed up past my bedtime to watch the end of it.
Well, we talked about that before we started rolling the cameras, and I was really excited because I was like, 6:30 start. I'm going to be able to go to bed.
8:30.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And looked at the clock during overtime. I was like, oh, gonna be tired tomorrow.
Yep.
But there's a lot of things surrounding this Super Bowl.
There was.
There are, some would say, love stories.
Some would.
Some would say tears on your guitar.
Oh, no.
And some would say, the year 1989 was one of the
pivotal.
greatest years.
Pivotal in that game.
Lauren is our in-house Taylor Swift expert.
Oh, okay. So there's one who is greater than I.
I love that.
There is?
Megan Angel
Oh,
Okay.
really?
is
Even more so?
the expert.
Really?
And she's been to a concert, right?
She's been
Has
to
she?
the Eras tour.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's been to Mecca, some would
She's
say.
the teacher. I am the student.
Oh, nice.
But
Little
I'm a
Yoda.
fan.
Yes.
Say that.
So we'll do this because we don't want to spend too much time. What was your favorite part of the Super Bowl? It could be a commercial, it could be a halftime show, it could be part of the game. What were your guys' just one favorite moment?
So we did it with our B group,
Yeah.
and I threw the idea out there. Hey, let's do a Swiftie Super Bowl.
Of course.
Didn't even have to twist any arms except Spencer Carl's, but it's
Yeah.
fine. He had a great time.
Wow. The name drop.
I told him
You last
I
named
told
him.
him that I would
Yeah.
mention
I mean,
him.
geez.
But
Come on,
here's
Spen.
the thing.
What?
We all brought snacks, and all of the snacks were themed.
Okay.
Let me give you some examples. Caleb made tater tots, and we titled them Tater's Gonna Tate, Tate, Tate.
Oh, that's great. That's really good.
What else was in there? Oh,
So I know so little about
That's a song.
yeah, just you
Not
might
taters.
just
Yeah, I'm
nod
not-
and
Taters.
smile.
Right.
We made one of us, Megan Anderson, made Sloppy Joes, and
Okay.
she titled them "No More Sloppy Joes." R.I.P. Joe's
Holland. a previous
okay, thank you.
love interest.
Yeah, thanks.
We had Bejeweled, Sugar Cookies, another song reference.
That's probably Deep Track. I don't know that one either.
Well, you have an album you like,
I only
and
have
you
one
don't
album that
venture
I like.
out.
Agreed.
So, and then what else did I make? Oh, I made Out of the Woods veggie tray. So
Yes.
literally
Another
every
album.
item, which we had a lot, was Taylor
Tied
Swift.
to a song.
Yeah, that's great.
We had placards made.
Yeah.
There'll probably be a reel coming out on Instagram showcasing all of our things. And I also did Swiftie Bingo. So everybody got a bingo card. And some items were football related, like Chiefs touchdown, 49ers field goal, whatever. But there was a lot of...
But you were saying before you weren't able to fill out that
No,
whole thing.
they didn't show her.
Yeah.
I
They
felt like
didn't talk about her. They didn't show her.
felt like they
were
showed her quite a bit.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, again.
Well,
I'll give you a Swiftie bingo
if you were
board.
having a Swiftie party, they probably didn't show her enough.
Let me tell you,
it
wasn't enough. I was so bored. It was a boring game. I was yawning, and I was like, show Taylor. What is she doing?
it was a football game.
Let me
was
fill
it?
out some squares. We only had one
Yes.
person. I brought 4 prizes. We only had one person get a bingo out of however many, 8 of us that were there. Only one person got a bingo.
Okay, wait. I have a question. You're on a rampage.
Yes, I
sorry.
agree.
I have a question. Who else in the fans?
Yeah.
Who among the other fans was shown more than Taylor Swift?
That's a great question.
Well, honestly, there was a lot of other people there.
Yeah, they're called football players.
No,
It was Super Bowl.
they were fine. It was a
And there
boring
was
game.
like
They could have
76
panned a lot more.
There were
was
76,000 fans.
There
Yeah.
was not a lot going. They didn't really show fans a lot because one of my squares was like a Swiftie sign.
Celebrity.
Like they didn't show that a lot.
So you're making my point.
What?
She got shown way more than anyone
But
else.
she should have been shown more.
Uh,
I'm just saying.
yeah. Okay.
That's why I was watching the game. So, anyways, but we had fun.
I'm glad.
Prizes
It sounds
were
like
given
it was
out.
fun. So, what was your favorite part of the game, though?
Playing Swiftie Bingo. Also, the halftime show.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. That was
Yeah.
my favorite halftime show, I think.
I think it's up there. There's some really good ones out there, but it did not disappoint. Jamie, you didn't like it?
I mean,
You probably weren't a huge Usher fan.
no, I was not a huge Usher fan.
Yeah.
I was at my brother's house for the first half, and then I left.
Oh, so you missed.
I saw most of it
Okay.
before I left of the halftime show. But the game was good. But honestly, my favorite part was my brother is an amazing cook,
Yes.
and he smoked some wings.
Ooh.
Oh,
and
nice. Yeah.
I want to promote a sauce, a wing
Whoa.
sauce, Wango Tango.
Ooh.
It's from Dinosaurs Barbecue, which is in Syracuse, New York, and apparently you can buy the sauce just about anywhere now.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's one of my brother's favorite restaurants in New York.
We'll
and
throw
now
a
that
link
sauce
up in the description.
So the wings,
Our first sponsor.
jalapeno
They just don't know
poppers, chili, guac, and
Whoa.
chips. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a feast. And
Yeah.
I was stuffed when I got there because we had a pretty big
Yeah.
lunch. But
Wow.
it didn't stop me. I just kept eating. It
I
was
ate
so good.
Now, were
Oh.
these boneless wings?
Oh, man. No.
Okay.
Real
so you weren't
wings.
dressed up. Smart. You could dig into them.
They were very messy.
Okay,
It
good.
was
We had
very
homemade
good.
lumpia.
Oh, yeah.
I ate my
Is this another dish that was brought to your...
Last Great American lumpia. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Another reference.
All right. Okay, well, last night was awesome. I started a new tradition, and this is going to lead us into, I just thought of this transition. It's so good.
Good job.
Jamie, at the beginning of your message, we're going to come back to the remote, but I wanted to skip forward just a little bit because I didn't hear your beginning in first service, but I think you were bashing the Browns in the very beginning.
No,
Is that
not
true?
at the beginning. No.
Okay, it was just just normal middle part. Okay.
Yeah, just the middle part.
Well, because you have this like fascination with just tearing the Browns apart, even though they're this lowly franchise
Yeah.
that, I mean, we're just laying on the side of the road and you just walked right by us.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's a biblical story around that. But to transition it, because you don't like the Browns so much,
I don't have anything against the Browns.
Well, that's not what it felt like.
I don't know where that's coming from.
I have a new tradition in my house.
Yes.
Because the Browns will never be in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
They
will.
They might be like
Believe.
the mighty Red Raiders. They're on their way.
Actually, that's a great correlation right now.
Yes.
Believe.
Yes.
I have this new tradition. This was my favorite part last night. Every quarter, I put on a different jersey that I've purchased throughout the years of my life.
Love that.
That correlates to a Cleveland sports team. And I never
really
get to
good.
wear them anymore because 90% of the names on the back are no longer players for said Cleveland sports team. So I did that last night. And because overtime was an extra quarter, I was running out of jerseys. So I ended up wearing my Guatemala national soccer jersey to end the night.
Nice.
And it was a great night. I got to wear all my jerseys in my
I love
closet.
that. That's
It was awesome.
It's a great tradition.
It's gonna be tough if I have to go to a Super Bowl party at somebody else's house because I'm gonna have to take all of them with me.
Yeah.
But that was my tradition.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. So anyways, I've always said any publicity is good publicity, and so you making fun of the Browns on stage, I get a lot of sympathy out in the comments.
I know you
so
do. That's why I
appreciate
do that so that I
We have
can
a little thing that
stoke-
we have worked together.
so I can stoke sympathy for Sam.
Yeah.
And that works for you.
Yeah, it was so good. So thank you for that. I guess
You're welcome.
People thought I was going to bash you today on the podcast, and I was like,
I don't know why you would.
It's probably going to end up thanking him because I get a lot of love. So thank you.
You're
I
so
didn't see it
welcome.
going that way. All right, let's get into some Jesus talk. So we've been doing this Bible reading challenge. I got to say, of all the Bible reading challenges we've done throughout the years, this one is starting off as my favorite.
I love this one.
Yeah, and we talked about this today. So Mark chapters 8 and 9 were the readings starting today. So that'll be for this week.
Yep.
And I really like that because these two chapters were a little bit longer than what we've read so far, just as far as chapter length go. It feels like it. Maybe
Yeah.
there's been one that's longer.
No, I think it was probably the longest we've done so far.
But I think that's what's going to be really cool about the rest of this week is you get to break that down in sections. So that's really exciting. But anything standing out to you, either from today's reading or even this past week, Lauren or Jamie, just kind of from your readings?
Today's reading, what stood out to me was how much the disciples argued with one another.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You tend to I tend to think of them as like this. I mean, I know there's like great diversity of personality on the team, but I often think of them as somewhat united group of people following Jesus. But they were just scrapping with each other pretty constantly,
all the time.
Yeah,
And I
Very
whenever I read
interesting.
it,
and the church tends to follow suit.
and
So-
you hear Jesus's responses, and not Jesus's. I enjoy having the Bible read to me, not like my mom. My mom's not like calling and reading it to me. That'd be nice, Mom, if you're listening. We can do that. But I like that it reads through. And I love it because
man.
they'll respond in like Jesus' voice, and I just feel like there's the biggest eye rolls ever.
Right.
This guy's like, these guys again. What is
Yeah.
going on?
There's something.
Yeah, so that was good. Okay, Lauren, anything from you? Just
Yeah,
Bible?
I've been listening too.
Yeah.
Sam's mom's reading to you also.
Yes.
She
Bradley
calls him.
calling
and then
you.
he calls me.
Wow, that's incredible.
No, my phone
Oh, okay.
plays it. I don't know. That's just what I'm doing right now.
Yep.
And it's been really good. So I was listening, and I was like, oh, we just keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
Just
You're
a lot.
like, my goodness, we got to read this much Bible.
But I think, I like the overview at the beginning of the week because it helps, you don't dive into it, but it gives you the, hey, just
sets the table.
I don't know, prepares your heart a little bit. In the, I got emotional just by, I believe, help my unbelief. And I was like, oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just even that little snippet of a story, I think that'll just be the meditation for the rest of the week, even if it's not necessarily that part of scripture that we're diving into. I already know that Jesus was like, hey, here's your little nugget for the week.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I'm just kind of I'm not excited to get into that because that seems like some deep spiritual work that's probably going to happen, and that's not necessarily
buckle
fun. Yeah. But I just felt like his prompting in his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
one of the in the chapter, the disciples are fighting once again about who's the greatest.
Yes.
And so that's kind of it's kind of cool how I don't know if the teaching team planned this out, Maybe you guys did. But like
we're not nearly that strategic.
Okay, cool. Because like a lot of the stuff we're reading right now, I mean, we're going to do a lot of series throughout the year. So it might like connect every once in a while. But right now I feel like it's really connecting with what we're doing. Not just because GOAT, but, greatest of all time, but really talking about what it means to serve. And Jesus is trying to get his disciples to do these and these kind of things. So they're arguing about who's going to be the greatest. And we're doing a series on who is the greatest, which we know is Jesus right now.
Yep.
So Jamie, you started your message with an analogy.
Way to go, Sam.
There's a lot of big words in this script today.
Heather's trying to trip you up.
I know she is. I know she's just laughing behind her computer when she's typing this stuff up. Tell us what your remote analogy was and how it was kind of correlating to start your message off.
So it just kind of occurred to me that the analogy was just about, I was trying to lead into this idea of selfishness and what's symbolic of selfishness in the home. And it used to be that it was the remote control, because people would literally fight for the control of the remote. I'm old enough to remember when kids were the remote control.
Yeah, go change the channel.
Go change the channel,
Yes.
But now no one, like you get in a car, we used to fight over what we were going to listen to on the radio also, but no one does that anymore either, because everyone's got their buds in and they're lost in their device, streaming whatever they're streaming, music, content, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it just kind of occurred to me when I was putting the message together, like it used to be, you'd fight for the remote and maybe you'd compromise and you can watch this, but then I get to watch that. And, there'd be this give and take that would happen just around entertainment options. But now we're in our own device. Everyone has their own tablet or whatever. No one does that anymore. So there is no give and take anymore. And yeah, the question is like, is that part of what's fostering this, narcissistic culture that we live in, this total self-absorbed culture? Because no one has to give and take or compromise in their like that's such a small thing, but it consumes a lot of time and a lot of family dynamic stuff that I know used to be a thing that is no longer a thing. And I just wonder, does that contribute to how self-absorbed we've become?
Yeah, I think it was a really good example. I think we're losing some of that, how you can train yourself or how you learn to compromise.
Yeah,
and how
for
you
sure.
have those discussions. And it stuck out to me, Lauren. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the next gen and how like that's affecting next gen now. But I don't think it's necessarily fair. I think we throw that all like on the kids or like our high school students are like, they're always on their phones, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you what, I mean, we had a full house of friends last night. And at certain parts, this isn't calling anybody out, but at certain parts you look around and everybody's looking at their phones and they're seeing what just happened on the TV. And now they're, instead of talking about it in the room, they're seeing what Twitter's saying about it, formerly X, formerly known as Twitter. And they're trying to see what social's saying.
How long do we have to keep doing that?
I don't know. I think
how we say it right.
I mean, it's kind of a for real thing.
Yeah, stop saying for real.
Yeah, because I've never seen X just like in a story like as It's always formerly known as
X,
Twitter.
formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah,
it's probably like a Prince thing.
Yeah, it's
true.
So I mean, it is what it is. But as far as like technology and how we're not compromising and people like how is next gen combating that? I don't even know if combating is the right word, but like, how are you guys attacking that? How are you going after that with the kids? And then vice versa, like how do we do that with adults, like as being good examples of how this needs to work?
Yeah. So I used to be a teacher for 9 years.
What grade?
4th grade. And group projects.
That sounds like a blast.
Group work, group projects were the worst. And I think, they're still 9 and 10 at that point. So, selfishness and all of that is rampant. But I think it's kind of like a product of what we're talking about right now. Like these kids grow into teenagers and they're just very used to having their tablets, having their device, being able to like listen to what they want. And if they don't want to watch what their sister's watching, they put their headphones on and they go into their own world. I remember when I was little, my brother somehow would get up before me every single Saturday morning. I would be like, okay, I'm going to wake up first. Like I remember going to sleep and nope. by the time I got downstairs to watch the TV, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were on.
Okay, I'm not mad at him for that.
Dr. Matthew.
I was
Dr.
mad.
Matthew was watching the Turtles.
So I just had to sit there, and there was compromise was not a thing. I was the little sister, but yeah, that dynamic is not happening.
So you did experience that.
I
the
did.
fight for the remote.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I mean,
So I didn't just make it up. That was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
We had to share. So we're definitely seeing like a shift to like, I mean, we've always had an individualistic culture, but now it's like hyper individualism.
Yeah.
And I was even thinking about like how that reflects in my life. Like my husband and I, we do not like the same entertainment. If he's downstairs watching his sports shows, I'm like, I'm going to pluck my eyelashes out. I'm going upstairs. And it causes separation, which is fine. I'm not saying you have to be together all the time. But if we didn't have another TV
Pizza
or it
nights.
didn't have, right, we would be separate a lot. And I
Right.
think we would be okay with that. I don't think we would be like, oh, this is a problem. But yeah, I think it's important for next gen, I mean, all areas of life, but next gen specifically, we really try to create safe group atmospheres for these kids to learn how to interact with each other. So not just their friends or not just someone who's like them, but we're really trying to get them to be able to function with somebody who might be completely different than them interest-wise or just where they're at on their spiritual journey. That's something that's been on our hearts lately because if we don't give them a safe place to try that now, when they go out into the world, nobody else is going to be pushing that. And Jesus, like, I mean, in our reading, he's all with all kinds of people. So I just think that we just have to be very purposeful in creating environments for that compromise, for that connection, for that group type atmosphere to happen, because it's not going to happen naturally.
So we've got in the Hager house a 9, 11, and 15-year-old. And I've noticed that like they all like different things. And like if we want to watch a movie, this is not even a Jesus thing. We just want to watch a movie. Like selecting a movie, okay, we'll finally get 3 out of 5 that are like, yeah, I think I want to watch that. And the other 2, their immediate response is like, oh, well, I'll just go play video games or I'll just go back on my iPad.
Right.
And every once in a while, you'd be like, okay, that's fine. So now we're just watching it with 3 people, me, Jamie, and one of the kids. And I just started realizing like, man, this isn't like an a la carte thing. Like we're a family. So even if you don't want to watch this movie, we're going to watch it together as a family.
Yep.
Because you're going to have conversations throughout the rest of the years about, you're going to go back to that movie and be like, oh, well, I didn't watch that. So like trying to, like you just have to be as an adult with that age of kids right now. Like we're trying to be very specific on like the time that we spend together.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And it is, I mean, it's impacting so many things, like family, like you're saying, like family dynamics, how kids are able to interact or not. And it's certainly affecting our walk with Jesus and how we interact with other followers of Jesus. So it's pretty significant.
Yeah. So just, I mean, think about that. Think about your families. Think about how you're connected. Maybe Lent's put the phone up. One of my friends is trying to put it up at 6 p.m. every night in the house.
Oh,
his
that sounds
kids
like a
freaked out.
dream.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. So Jamie, you talked a little bit about God's upside down kingdom.
Yeah.
We're not talking Stranger Things. This is God's upside down kingdom. You probably did you watch?
No,
Stranger
I did
Things?
not
Okay,
watch
there's the
that.
whole
Of course
upside down. It is what it is. So you use Matthew 23:12. Can you just tell
I'm
us?
so out of touch culturally.
It's fine. You're good. No,
That's
you're
why
good.
you
That's
invite.
why we have this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we got to do it together, you know?
You're teaching us God stuff. We're just kind of bringing in some of that sin for
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
it
you're
is
welcome.
culture and faith. That's what Jeremy said at the beginning.
Producer said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Matthew 23:12. Can you just tell us a little bit of how God's kingdom's operating? That just is so.
Yeah. So it really kind of hit me. Like we've talked about the upside down kingdom tons of times, but it did kind of hit me as I was putting this message together that so upside down kingdom is just simply things operate very differently in the ways of Jesus than they do in the ways of the world. And one of those is who is the greatest? The greatest is a servant, which is the total opposite of what we would normally think. But what really kind of stood out to me as I was not even really preparing the message as much as when I was getting ready to teach the message was just this idea of like the surprise of who God is. Like if Jesus came to reveal the very nature of God, I think we're all like kind of taken aback because God is not exactly who we thought he was. So I don't know, that just kind of like his kingdom is upside down, but that means his nature is really kind of upside down from what we normally think also.
Right. Yeah. No, that's really good. Which is kind of talked about the humility aspect of that and how that is so countercultural to be humble, right? I mean, we see it last night on this grand scale of athleticism. And like some of these guys are still try to remain super humble, but it's really, really difficult because you're being put up on this pedestal, right? Yeah. You're getting trophies. But it's even in our everyday lives. You do something good, you try to be humble, all those things. So how do we keep ourselves from becoming prideful of how humble we are? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As a Christian, it's kind of what you said on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, look at me. I'm humble.
So are there any ways, guys, like we work in ministry, so I think sometimes maybe people don't do this, but I think they think that we have like our whole like spiritual lives together, and it's like,
oh, you don't?
No.
Well, I mean, obviously,
Definitely
obviously the boss man does. I mean, where would we be?
Right.
Yeah. So can we just talk a little bit through that? Like, how have you seen some ways of one, humbling yourself, but also like remaining humble in this idea of we're trying to share Jesus, share Christ, and it can only come through humility. So like, how do you guys live within that world?
Yeah, well, I mean, for like one of the things that I do, like in the church itself, is there's a couple of things. One is, anytime I walk into one of our restrooms, whether it's in the back or out in the front of house, I wipe down counters, I pick up papers off the floor, just out of diligence.
But only if someone's watching, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
All the time.
Yeah, me too.
Every time. And it's just part of how I think. And like yesterday, there were little kids walking. Our kids had a lot of things to take home yesterday.
Sure did.
They had the big plastic
Next
mat
gen
thing.
Placemats.
Yep. They had several things. And there was this little girl, every time she took a step, she dropped something. And she finally seemed like she got all of her stuff together, and she started walking away, and one more thing fell. And so I just went and picked it up and handed it back to her. But it's just like I just try to be I just try to have the mindset that like I don't walk around like the boss. I walk around like I want to model what we're supposed to be about. The way I introduce myself is a subject that gets brought up frequently. But that's also part of it. Like this is not about me, and I don't ever want it to be. And so I'm just one of the, I might as well say just one of the members of Believers,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I try to model that or live that. And part of it is just to remind myself. It's not even it's not to put on display an act of humility. It's just to remind myself to do that. One of the reasons I drive my old Buick is to teach myself contentment. Like I love nice cars, and I get in my old Buick just to try to be content.
I don't know, man. That thing's pretty comfortable. I think it's having the opposite effect. Take a nice nap on a road trip in that thing. That thing's awesome.
So that's partly how
that's
I do
good.
it.
Lauren, anything like, I mean, I don't mean to keep going like next gen with you, but that's kind of your area. Like, how are we teaching humility to our kids?
I just have a quick little volunteer shout out. Actually, that happened yesterday. Keith Ward, one of our safety team members, we had a kindergartner get sick. And in the classroom yesterday, which little kids,
Happens.
it's a thing. It is an occurrence.
And there's a lot of that going around right now.
Yeah. And as soon as, look, we have little radio sets. And if it's like medical, we go, like I'll go, but also a safety team member will go. And the call came in, hey, this child is sick in room, whatever room. And, you don't want to say there's puke everywhere. Like that's, you don't say that. So out of the safety team members, Keith was the one who was like, all right, this is what I'm doing today. Like, this is my role. And it just really stood out to me because it like, for me, humility is the question of like, is this my job to do or is this somebody else's job to do? Yeah. And 9 out of 10 times, there's no reason why it's not your job to do.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, it was just a really, I gave him a little shout out and stuff like that. But like, he would have never thought twice about that moment of humility of going to clean up
so good
a mess.
Yes.
So it was just cool because I got to sit in first service and that happened during second, and I was like, look at what's happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great story of humility.
So I think for me, that's who I want to be. Like I want to be like Keith. I want to be like when I see examples of humility, I feel convicted because my first response most of the time was like, oh, I don't want to do that. But yeah, so I think just growing in that way. Yeah. And I think when kids and teenagers see adults who are doing that, it's like, it's a model and they do it. Like we have so many of our teenagers who serve on Sundays. They serve the little kids who they're little kids, but they give of their time. They wake up early, they get here and they're serving. So I think when they see it modeled, they understand like this is what it is to be a part of our family. Yeah. And I love that. And I think they're also a great example of humility of I'm not sleeping in this morning. I'm waking up and I'm going to get here and I'm going to play with 5-year-olds. Like
they definitely stand out in that regard. We in everywhere in our church. I mean, our students serve everywhere.
For sure.
I love it.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
Another great transition, like serving, like tithing of your time, tithing of your money. Jamie, you talked about that, and I will agree. We actually had a funny conversation driving home. Addie has served in tech for a long time. She does stage cameras, and she also is able to sing a little bit for real. And now Mason's coming up. He's in his last year. Students. Yeah, next gen. Sorry, excuse me. So he's coming up, and he'll be next gen student soon. And he's been able to run a camera a couple times. And so Emma, who's 9. We're driving home. She said, so when do I start serving on cameras? And so we were laughing and we were like, well, you can do that. I was like, you can serve other places, right? Like you could go to kids or whatever. And she was like, wait, what? She had no idea. She just thought you had to go serve in tech now.
So
which,
that's what she sees.
Yeah, which Mr. Lee probably loves. He's like, there's more volunteers coming through.
That's funny.
But yeah, like, so Jamie, talk through just those suggestions of like tithe your time. Like what were you speaking on, or what were you thinking, and what were we talking about?
Yeah, I think was that Richard Foster's?
Yes. Oh, sorry. I said that. Richard.
Yes.
Richard Foster.
That was Richard Foster's quote. Or idea, tithing your time, and he talks actually about tithing your time to your community of faith is what he actually talks about. I didn't bring that part out because I think if you just take a step and start. I think the idea is simply just be intentional. Like you can't tithe your income without planning it because it's too big a chunk of your income to just haphazardly do, which I think is part of the benefit of that discipline. It forces you to be thoughtful and intentional with your resources. And this is the same thing with your time. Like if you're going to be conscious of investing your time in other people and finding ways to do that, you got to plan that. So I think that's the real benefit of thinking through the tithing your time in service to others.
That's good. Yeah. So your big idea was I'm at my greatest when I humbly serve others.
Yeah.
And so you pulled out the Philippians 2:6. I would encourage anybody, if you haven't watched the message, go back and do that. But also go back if you have and just watch Jamie's English lesson that he gave one more time, even though I don't love the examples you gave through it.
Yeah.
We've already talked about that. I don't think we need to.
We don't need to rehash that.
it.
It was really
That's fair.
just to explain a spiritual.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. So can you give maybe like a brief overview of what you were trying to communicate through that and and those things? Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing was from Philippians 2, where we're told to have the same mindset or attitude of Christ, who, being in nature God, and didn't view equality with God as something to be grasped, came and served. And so that's the passage. And the thing that I kind of focused on was that idea of being in very nature God and how you understand that. And I think even for myself, for the longest time, I understood that to mean, well, Jesus is God, and so he's the dominator. But as he stepped into our world, he set aside his nature and took on the form of a servant. And then when he goes back to heaven, he assumes the role of dominator again, right? But what the guy that I was quoting, his last name is Hawthorne, Gerald, I can't remember. He wrote a commentary on Philippians, and his take on that passage was not that Jesus was one thing and set it aside and assumed the role of a servant, but that God is in his nature a servant. And so Jesus comes, and of course, as God who is humble and serves others, Jesus steps on the scene and models the very nature of God by being a servant, by humbling himself and being a servant, which is the nature of God.
Yeah.
And I just love that so much. It's such a paradigm shift on that passage. And I think, like, my understanding of what he explains, like, I resonate with that. It's got to be what it is. Jesus came to reveal God to us, and he did that by serving. So he wasn't trying to trick us. He wasn't trying to say, be like me, but I'm not really like this.
Right, yeah.
He was inviting us to greatness by serving.
Yes.
It's just
so
remarkable.
good. Yeah, he could have been. Like, he could have been the Dominator, which is a great nickname. Oh, my gosh.
Right?
That was awesome. But the thing is, like, I love how you shared that, because it leaves this thing. He didn't come down here and set these unattainable expectations. Like, yes, we can't be perfect, but we can try to strive for those things. And these qualities aren't just something that he was just showing us. Right. And then he went back, like you said. So that was really, really great. You were kind of preaching through your next steps yesterday, which was really great as well. So your first one was allowing somebody to go first daily. So how are we humbling ourselves? So how are you guys going to do that this week? How are you going to let somebody go first this week?
Well, let me just say, first of all, the amount of pushback that I got talking about having Jesus in the car with you.
Yeah.
People were not happy about that.
Oh, I already failed this morning.
I agree with it, too.
I didn't have to. I honked at somebody.
Nice.
I had to honk at somebody.
I feel compelled to let people know. So fail this morning. It's okay. There's more opportunities.
Yeah, there's more.
I'll
You're
be
going to have
driving.
plenty
Don't
opportunities.
worry. So I think that's where I'm going to start.
Yeah.
In the car.
And
if I can do that,
it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I know deep down I am not the person I am when I'm behind the wheel. That is not who I am. But I got to be honest, recently I feel like I'm becoming that person behind the wheel. And so I think people were arguing with you yesterday because there's a zipper effect when you merge.
There is.
So
and
I feel like you could be causing
that could mess up
by what you're
that could
asking
mess
people
up
to do.
the zipper.
So just you got to be safe, first of all.
Safety first.
Yes.
Then Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think they can go hand in hand.
I mean, I suppose they can.
Maybe. Are you doing anything else other than trying to be a good driver to let people go first?
I don't know. I mean, as the situation arises,
Yeah.
I
think
guess
just
I'll
your
see.
mentality.
Yeah, just try to be on the lookout for an opportunity to let someone go first when you really want to go first.
Yes.
I also think for me, like it has to start like with my close people first. Like it doesn't just strangers, because that's easy for me because
Okay.
they haven't they're not close enough for me to be like annoyed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So that was my other takeaway. Like, let's make sure that I'm also practicing that with Caleb and my close friends.
Yeah, don't do it at the grocery store and then come home and be a selfish pig.
Which,
right.
Honestly, are we being honest? Does it happen? Absolutely.
Maybe.
So
that's a great call.
Yeah, that is really
that.
good. And also, college drive is 50 miles an hour. Can we just go 50, please? But I'm going to try.
I'm with you there.
I'm going to try not to get really, really mad when someone's going 34 in a 50.
How about the left turn from college?
From right
by
here. If you're listening,
stop doing that. If you do that, stop doing that.
Before
It's
the
illegal.
roundabout?
Yes.
Guys, it's illegal.
It's dangerous.
We've literally had police officers tell us we can't do that.
So stop doing it.
Yeah. I might make a sign.
I think you should.
Like
I
a
think
banner?
that's putting people first. I'm trying to make it a safer world. And I'm going to put it right in the middle of the road. They just need to put a barrier up. It's so
well, they do
ridiculous.
need to put a barrier up.
Yeah.
If you've driven down towards Greenbrier recently, they have the express lane that's getting ready to open that they're going to be tolling, and they have those reflector things
Just
all
do
the way to
that.
just do that over there,
Yep.
so people will stop making that illegal
Because
turn.
people are coming over the hill and even you turn.
I know they are.
There's a roundabout, guys. Just go around a roundabout.
That's why it's round.
Roundabout.
You have people
Producer.
coming out of the apartments as well.
Yes, it's just not
Yeah.
safe.
They're doing
Yeah.
left turns there too. Yeah, no, that's
It's
also
bad.
dangerous.
Man, anyways, that's not what we meant to do, but we got to put people first.
No, it
That's
was
what
all
we're
about
gonna
having
do.
Jesus in the car with us.
And
That's
being
where that
safe.
went. Yes.
Being
Yes.
safe, yeah. How can you guys create margin this week? Any quick examples of how we can create some margin with our time?
Yeah, I mean, so I've tried to do that just to read more. And one of the things that I've tried to do is put my phone to bed sooner than me also, so that I can read a little bit more. So yeah, I think the phone is definitely one of those time suckers.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually wasn't thinking of like time margin. I actually was thinking about emotional margin.
Okay.
Because I think just like this personal season that I've been in, I just don't have emotional margin to like absorb other people's things. And that is not
Place.
what,
Yeah.
it's not a good place. That's not what we're called to be.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that kind of hit me. You didn't really talk about it specifically, but
Yeah, so how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was just thinking about like how important my time in this reading plan like really, really is. Like if I am getting some things out and Jesus is doing some things in there, I'm not carrying when I'm feeling selfishly, like what's going on in my little bubble. I'm not carrying that with me through the rest of the day. I mean, some days it is what it is, but when it becomes a season, like you just have to, like there's just things that I think you just have to, you have to set aside the time to be mad, to be sad, to be angry, to be frustrated.
Yeah.
So you don't carry it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just thinking about
That's really good.
emotional
Yeah, that's
margin.
super good. I also feel like you just described the movie Inside Out.
I love that. I can't
It's a
wait
great
for
movie.
number 2.
I know. They just
can't
released
wait.
the new trailer. It's gonna
Anxiety
be really
is in it, and
Yeah.
I'm already
good. We'll
crying.
catch up, Jamie.
I know of what you're speaking.
Okay. Just a quick thing with this was actually the 4th next step this week, but we will be tested on Sunday with memorizing
Correct.
Matthew 20:28. So just
Yes.
I'm putting it out there.
Yep.
Ooh,
Guys, don't embarrass yourself. It's going to happen.
okay.
Learn
You've
the
been
verse.
warned.
Learn the verse.
Finally, serve day, serve days, or serve weeks, what we're calling it, March 3rd and 10th. You need to sign up.
Yep,
We had a lot of people asking actually yesterday. I had several people ask me
good.
about serve day.
that's
Good.
great.
And we had a couple people doing their first serves yesterday too, which is pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
So,
The week before, I met an entire family at the cafe that was doing their first serve.
yeah. I'm not going to ask you guys anything about it. We're winding up, but I will say throughout the years, the best way to get people to serve is to have them come alongside you with shoulder
Yes.
tapping. So we can say from stage all we want, but until you bring somebody with you and just let them follow you around and show you what you do,
Yep.
It's going to be awesome. And don't be an Emma. You can serve anywhere. You don't have to just serve in tech.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere. So anything you guys have to add final before we
I just want to say, Samuel, you've done a fine job hosting today.
Well, I was given a good script, so thank you to Heather. I skipped all the big words, which was great.
That was really
didn't
good.
have to embarrass myself.
Yeah, no, you did a fine job.
So yeah, catch us outside. I don't want to catch me outside.
You were doing really great. You had
Nobody's
to going, and
nobody's
then
listening at this point. But thanks for I was going to say catch us at 9 or 10:45 on Sunday.
Yeah.
We'll be here. Oh my gosh, we have so many people being baptized.
yeah.
Oh, good.
That's this Sunday,
This
right?
Sunday.
Yes.
It is
Yep.
this Sunday.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. My phone's been blowing up with people signing up. So
Love it.
Really?
we'll get the final number, but
Oh, man.
I'm
Last
pretty
time
sure
I checked,
it's quite a
we
bit.
had last time I checked was 12.
Okay.
So that's probably
I
way
think
more
it's-
now.
Yeah, I think it's moving up. So it's going to be fun right after second
go look.
service.
Nice.
Get your shushers ready because we got to do a lot of shushing.
Yeah, we do.
Man, we got some talkers in that comments.
Yep.
But that's why we build it. So anyways.
It'll be fun.
All right, go be love. We'll see you guys on Sunday.